potentially deliver some fireworks today, and fireworks he did deliver, for lack of a better word. With that, let's just dive right in because there's a lot to talk about today, a lot of headlines, and overall a lot of movement. This is going to be in my opinion, now with what we've heard today, knowing what I know of the industry and things, I think December is going to get really, really interesting. Um, I think there's going to be some amazing opportunities. Are they all going to be on the positive side? All-time highs in the markets? No. No, I think it's going to be quite the other direction. So let's just go right into it, and we can start getting the charts. So again, for those of you that are new, every week we have a couple new people. I get some emails from you guys. I love it. If you guys aren't familiar with me, I've been doing presentations now for Nadex for a couple years. Love doing it. Love the community here. I love sharing things with the community. I've been trading, and I hate to say it's been over 20 years now, but yeah, I started back in 1999 is when I really started to get serious about the markets and educating myself, and things have definitely changed in that time frame. Um, I am it's kind of hard to say. I'm more of an intraday trader than anything else. So I know some people are long term slash investors. Um, I'm more on the near term side of things. I'm a very big person I'm very big on focusing on risk first. Um, and one of my beliefs is that if you have money in the market, you don't know what's going to happen. Particularly with some of the headlines we saw earlier today, Russia is now stacking troops on the Ukraine border. There's 100,000 troops and tanks are coming. These are things you can't plan for. And the president of the Ukraine said that he's gotten intelligence that there's going to be a coup of his. So anything can happen, guys. If you're in the market, you are exposed. I believe get in, strike while the iron's hot, and get out. So you guys will see my charts in a little bit. My charts are obviously a little bit different. I don't have indicators all over the place. I'm a price action trader. I focus on what I've seen in the market. Not trying to. I don't have a hidden crystal ball under my desk that I look for trading. But again, I'm using supply and demand and price action to determine where my buy and sell areas are. I did spend some time inside of the one of the big three banks in the advisory division. I was licensed. I did have my Series 7 and my Series 66. I have let those both expire at this point. I didn't feel a need to keep them. And I found my true passion in there about educating. Now, I did learn a lot about bonds, and you will see that bonds are up big today. What we're about to head into is very, very much the kind of a bond world, right? When we start talking about interest rates and rising interest rates, and this is where bonds really starts to kind of shine. When interest rates are at zero, the bond realm is not as important. But where we are right now, people are going to be looking for flight to safety. So bonds are about to be a real big thing. So I'm very thankful for the time that I did spend inside of that industry. I did work on Wall Street, so I can say that I lived 2 blocks from the New York Stock Exchange, walked past it every single morning. This was actually my favorite time of the year to work there. Reason why is because once they have the Christmas tree up, it's huge. It's really, really cool, and the New York Stock Exchange lights itself up every morning, different colors, and with the tree, the lights, it's all red and green. Beautiful, beautiful sight. So it was nice being down there and kind of in the trenches and talking to the guys down there, and eating and going to happy hour at the bars that the legends went to. Very, very cool stuff. And this time of year up there is absolutely amazing. It's cold. It's cold. Phew. Yeah, the financial district has like these wind tunnels. Snow goes sideways; it doesn't fall down. Yeah, it's crazy, crazy. And they don't plow. It's funny, they don't plow the streets in New York. They plow the sidewalks because everybody walks. Nobody drives up there. So it was very much different from where I live, where it's the exact opposite. Um, anyway, with that, let's go right into our agenda, or actually our risk disclaimer first. You guys all know that trading on Nadex involves risk and may not be appropriate for all. Members risk losing the cost at the end of their transaction, including fees. You should carefully consider whether trading on Nadex is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions that you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. None of the material presented here is to be construed as a solicitation, recommendation, or offer to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Nadex is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC, and Nadex is a registered trademark of the IG Group. All right. Let's dive in. All right, first things, we're going to cover upcoming news events. This is a big week. I know you think, oh, it's the end of November. No, no, no. It's the first week of December. Tomorrow we have our ADP numbers. We have non-farm payroll this week. Very, very big week. A lot of news events to talk about this week. A lot of opportunity. I know Todd mentioned it earlier today. Next week, we will not be having one of these sessions as we have one of the education summits. We have a boot camp. we're going to talk about ways that we can play that, play the news events. At least I am, with some kind of alternative methods, using Nadex. So, a lot to talk about this week as far as big news releases. Again, next week you'll be able to kind of take what we learned from kind of seeing them unfold this week, and we'll be able to talk about them next week. So you guys will understand the next time that we do this about upcoming news events, how to use it. Then we'll break down indices. If you didn't know, everything's a little bit red now. The market absolutely loved everything that Powell had to say. Yellen kind of added her little spiel, which, yeah, kind of didn't really make much of a difference. Powell is a cornucopia of happiness and joy. No, not so much. So we'll show you what the indices did today. Today was a little bit different of an open. A little bit harder and a little bit more challenging. But again, having Powell speak at 10 o'clock, 30 minutes after the open, it's one of those days where if you said, you know what, I'm going to skip the open trade, it was a smart way to do it, right? I think the news today was really kind of focused on Powell. And it happens, Then forex. So forex, I've been warning everybody for months that the end of this year was going to get crazy. The dollar went crazy with Powell's comments. And if you haven't heard them, I'll review what Powell's comments were in a second. Currencies are flying, okay? If you're not looking at currencies already, you're missing the boat. Get over there and start looking at commodities. Currencies. There's a lot going on, right? A lot going on. And then last but not least, commodities. Oil and natural gas are just falling through the floor. They're continuing to grind lower. OPEC is literally sitting there. They've already got the email crafted to Biden that says, pound sand, we are not increasing supply, right? And yeah, oil's down, again, it's in the last week, really since last week when Omicron was announced, or just, I guess not announced, but it wasn't like born. I don't know what the right word is for it, but once it became, in focus, right? They just been getting slaughtered, right? Talking about lockdowns again and again. We had lockdowns last week without Omicron. God knows what happens when Omicron's really going to kind of get out there. I saw some funny memes now where they have Delta, and Delta's like this small little bug, and there's a guy, a medical person pointing at it, and then meanwhile there's this gigantic Omicron behind him tapping the the medical guy. So yeah, Omicron will be the talk of the town for the month of October. And again, anytime we mentioned it last week, this week, anytime there's a big mention of Omicron in a negative light, watch the markets drop, especially the commodities. And again, a lot of movement over there. We'll cover those in the charts. All right, so with that, let me bring up the charts here so we can really kind of start diving in. Where is it? Right there. All right, so very, very, very much different kind of look right now. Dollar getting blown up, right? Pound also not doing great, although it's trying to make a comeback right now. Pound yen, you can see down 131, quite a large amount. It's kind of a standout right now. Dollar yen down, 66. Thus far this morning, we got some good news out of Canada, right? But then Chicago PMI came in, not the best, right? And then Powell came in, and then consumer confidence came in, also negative, and then a negative adjustment. Last time, we have, Clarita speaking later, but probably not going to be a big market mover. And then tonight, Aussie GDP coming in. So I don't know if you guys can see this first one right here. Just want to say, I don't know. We've been saying this and joking around about it since July. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell retires the word transitory in his language describing inflation. I hate to tell Mr. Jerome, I told you so. But I already sent the email. So, it's one of those things that I guess it's finally officially retired, right? So some of the things that he mentioned today, not thinking effects of Omicron, So again, they're not talking about it. The Fed is going to discuss speeding up bond buying, tapering in the December meeting. Pal, for now, Omicron is a risk. It's not baked into any forecasts. That was one of the major headlines. Right, that's what's causing all the market drama in the last 48 hours. Not even baked into any of the forecasts. It will take longer to get the labor force participation back. Yep, I think so. And then the risk of higher inflation has increased. So there's that more acknowledgement, right? And then again, consumer confidence, and there's a couple other things, some slumping numbers. Janet Yellen is now basically kind of like, hey, nothing. So, yeah. A lot of things said in here. Again, Powell is always kind of on the slow end of things for adoption, but the Fed typically is. but speeding up the tapering process, I know what most of the Fed presidents were talking about earlier in like September, October. Yeah, looks like it's happening. They talked about inflation being a major risk now. And with the markets turning and rolling, I don't know if it's the most positive, I mean, considering we have a month till 2021, none of these things that he just said that are going to be talked about in the December meeting are the most positive for 2022 as far as the overall stock market goes. Um, yeah, I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. 2022 is going to be a very interesting year. Hopefully, Omicron fizzles out and it's absolutely nothing that we need to be concerned about. Right now, nobody truly knows. We just know that it's spreading pretty quickly. It's a virus. We're going to have these for a long time. That's just the way that they work. But if we're going to be in a situation where inflation's out of control, labor participation is not back where it needs to be, we go into a recession or maybe even more because of the things that we need to do, and then stack that on of maybe something after Omicron or maybe Omicron is big. Um, yeah, next fall is going to be absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. I mean, next year when we're starting to have all the midterm election posturing and everything, whew, woo, going to get crazy. So hopefully you guys are going to stay with us for that ride. With that said, let's go right into the charts here. This is actually bonds I was looking at beforehand. Look at them popping already. But the story is going to start off now. The VIX is up 20%. Yeah. So yesterday morning we talked about how we had that nice little gap. Seeing it pull back, and we did. It ended kind of right. I missed my forecast just a little bit yesterday morning. And today, earlier at 9 o'clock, we were talking about we had that gap. We're probably going to see it roll back again, right? And it did. It rolled back down again and almost filled the gap. And then Powell came in with his blockbuster, levels of positivity of we're going to speed everything up. We're raising interest rates. Labor's not here. Inflation, it's a major risk. It's not transitory anymore. Yeah, that took us from 23 all the way back up into the 28 range. This is high. I mean, I'll scroll back, guys. I mean, look at this. The last time it was this high was September of last year. Oh no, September 21. We had that one little spike, and again, there was some drama there. And then after that, here, actually, let me bring this back to a daily. Probably better I do it on a daily, right? Let's see. This is what it looks like. Okay, we're getting a peak, and we're just starting to hear about Omicron. Could we get up into the 40 range? And again, if you look back, that's January of this year, October. Obviously, the major spike over here was March of last year when we started to close everything down. But yeah, we're kind of on a peak right now, and the answer is we don't really know, right? It's not time to panic, and we're already starting the spike. So kind of one of those things. If Omicron flakes out, then yeah, we're good. Well, it'll come back down again, and we're in a good position. If it turns out to be serious, and we're already sitting here at 30, is 40 on the docket? Maybe 50, maybe 60. That's a big deal. Up 19% is an absolutely huge move. You can see on a daily basis, it moves 2.5, right? The daily ATR for the VIX is 2.5. It's up 4.56 right now. So twice, right? Basically twice what it normally moves in one day. And it's been a little crazy. So knowing that the VIX is that high, there's no surprise whatsoever that all the indices are on the red side. Let's drop this back down to a 15-minute, and you can see that it's not really the most rosy of sentiments. So earlier today, we were sitting right here. And this is one of those important things. And I mentioned, and y'all may say, hey, Brian, you're crazy. We were sitting right here when we started to talk, 8:45 to 9 candle. And what I mentioned was look for buying opportunities today. Did I know Powell was going to blow up the world today? No. But what did it do? It rallied. It rallied, it rallied, it rallied, it rallied, it rallied. And then I talked about, actually, if you remember, I said, hey, listen, if we can get up to here when Powell speaks, that would be a great opportunity for us to get a reversal. It didn't actually get all the way up, but the result was exactly the same. Powell's comments completely sandbagged the market. It went down and actually used this, 4,600 level as kind of a bounce area. But the question is, where do we stop now, right? We know we have a level at 45.50, which will be helpful. And I'm actually going to bring it out a little bit to an hourly so we can kind of see. If we look to the left, and I'll actually put a horizontal line there so you can kind of see where the bottom is. Looking to the left, right? Looking to the left, you can see that, let's see, hold on, where is it? Right there. You can see that the last time the price was down here, we were also having an area where we had some buyers. We did a nice little pop, and there was a little bit of an explosion off this level. Now let's take this and drag this all the way across. So we can see that we got a little bit of a breather sitting right below. Okay. Now it is rallying back a little bit. It came down, and you can see. I don't know if you guys see this or not. The red candle, it actually banked right off of that level right here. Right. Actually, that's the one we drew. So of course it did. I would say the big question now is what do we do? Do we hold inside of this level at 45.60? Okay. It's between 45.60 and it looks like 45.55. So again, 45.50, kind of that middle number there. I would say all the news is now kind of baked in. People are absorbing it. And the reality is, although Powell made some statements, we don't know exactly what the Fed is going to say. So, is this the bottom? Is the big question for today. I would say where we are right now, there's not necessarily going to be as many headlines this afternoon. All the shorts at this point are probably taking profit. Anybody that was long probably is out, but if not, they're in the hopium mode where it's like, please just come back up, please just come back up. Um, I'm gonna say I feel like right now, we know what else we have today. There's a little bit more news that we could potentially get at an online event. We may get something, and again, voting member. Clarita is a voting member, so maybe we get a little bit more fuel in the fire. But at this point, all the news is out. Right, we got nothing. Right, we got nothing until later on this evening. Now, tomorrow morning, again, we hit this ADP non-farm employment change number, and the question is, how do we prepare for that? I mean, it's a smaller number than what we have. It's a smaller number, but it's still extremely positive. It's a 500,000 jobs, right? So that's a big thing for tomorrow morning. Building permits not so big. Bullard sees 50% chance of high inflation will persist. So again, I think Bullard needs to take over. That's my opinion. 50% chance that the high inflation will persist. Does it say how long? Does he say how long? I think Bullard has been. I think he's been dead on the entire time. Now we don't have more. We got to get more, and we'll see when we get more detail about that one. But tomorrow we have Bailey speaking again. Going to be Omicron mentioning in there at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock, Powell is testifying in front of Senate. Ooh, that's going to be a big one. You know why? Because if we go into a recession, market crashes, a lot of those people in the Senate are going to lose their seats. So they are gonna roast Powell tomorrow. We'll see what he has to say as well as ISM. So big day tomorrow as well as crude oil inventories. Again, Delta's more of an issue right now than the crude oil inventories today. But what that does for the overall ES, I would say that we're probably in an area where we're going to get a little bit of basing, maybe some pullback. I would look for price. I wouldn't actually be surprised if price comes back up to this 4,600 level. Um, you know, again, we know there's something hidden in there, right? Price came up based and then kind of fell from there. So if you're looking for pullback levels, I would say that's probably an area. Here, I'm curious. Is it a fib level? Is it a 50? Yeah, it just happens to be right around that 50, right? Right in the same location, right? So I think 4,600 is something that we can potentially get back to today. Maybe an end of the day thing. Like I said, I think tomorrow, you know, right now everybody is so focused on the future. The data we're going to get in the next 48 hours is all going to be past based data. But again, it's all technically positive. So, I do think that the market will start adjusting for tomorrow because we don't know anything yet. We just know what they're going to talk about at the next Fed meeting, but none of it was necessarily positive for the indices. So, being down 75 points, it is above a daily ATR. I do think, again, that reversion to the mean is what we're probably willing to see. So I'd be looking for most likely some buying. But again, at the open, that 930 candle, was there much to trade off of here? Not really. It was more set up for a short. The only thing Powell really could have said was to basically say that inflation doesn't exist and that, because of Omicron. It's kind of hard to say trust the science when we don't really truly have any science yet and to halt everything. Powell did the exact opposite. Powell says we got to pretend like nothing else exists. We can only focus on the data that we have. Let's keep our head in the sand and let's go to town. And that's what really crashed us. NQ, remember, is technically the most insulated. But if you look at it, there's a level where we had sellers in the past. We knew that sellers were there. We were really looking for the 1650. But the way this drove up right at like 10 o'clock, right here, this is 10 o'clock, and then it halted and said, okay, what's Powell going to say? Whew, big short to the downside. So NQ, I would say, again, 16,000 is the really big number. We know that we have some buying coming in. There's a level sitting here and probably even a little bit of front running right off of this level, and that's kind of where we're at. I'd like to see what NQ does. I'd like it to base around and maybe take a little bit of a bounce. I would just like to clear more of this. We know we have sellers coming in at 16,200. I think it needs to go like a little bit lower down. I know that would drag the rest of the market down with it, but I like it to go a little bit lower. I would say that this is a parabolic move down. If the jobs numbers is great tomorrow, again, that's one of those catalysts that can really turn us and shoot us right back up again. Because again, the jobs number is a real number. Talking about what could potentially be done is just it's just speculation at this point. But that jobs number for tomorrow, I think, is really a big deal. And again, it's going to open us up for what non-farm looks like. And again, could Powell deflect everything? Yeah. Could he change his story tomorrow? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Remember, this is what Powell did the original part of COVID. One day it was all positive, the next day it was all negative, and then it was positive again, then it was all negative. What if tomorrow he has new data and all of a sudden kind of mixes it up and says, we don't want to make any rash decisions, especially with Omicron? And now it's like, oh, wait, you're not going to change everything? Oh, okay. And then the markets head back up. So I think there's some opportunity here to probably find some buys to retrace a lot of this move. Is it coming in down here at 16,000? Potentially, right? It's a potential area. And again, is 12:22 the ideal time to find a reversal in the NQ? Probably not. But again, that 1 o'clock time frame, could we have something? Could we take a bounce off of this for maybe a bit of an end of the day rally, but still end up red on the day? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. YM. Yeah. So YM, we were talking about it. Same thing. I was like, I hope it can get all the way up. That'd be awesome. And then take a reversal. It didn't. It reversed. It reversed exactly at the time that we talked about. It ran into some problems between the 50 and the 61.8 on those fibs. So again, a lot of the people that are using the 50 would have gotten stopped out. It did breach the 50, the 61.8. Again, remember, it's one of those things, guys. I love when people are like, yep, look at that. I knew that. My stop loss, listen, follow your rules. This is one of those scenarios where this is why Nadex is such a great such a great product. We knew early at 9:30 we were sitting here right at that that time frame, right at that 50 mark. Had you taken that short, it did. It pushed all the way back down again. It came back up again. And had you done a short duration contract, even if you did like a little bit out of the money, I mean, even down here, you can see like a 9 to 11, right? Or even you do Powell speaking at 10, so you could have used 10 o'clock if you wanted to, right? Look how much it moved in that time frame, right? From the 10 o'clock here to 12, which is the candle right there. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Let me get it. Let me get a true. Let me get the true reading there from the 10 o'clock open. I'm not even going to use the high. The 10 o'clock open to the low. Yeah, 419 points. 419 points in 2 hours. Knowing that we had Powell speaking today with everything else going on, I hope to God you guys got a short duration trade out of that one. Right? Phenomenal trade in that one. And we're going to continue it lower. So I would say kind of similar, although I will say I do feel like the YM is probably, besides the Russell, which is obvious, I do feel that the YM is at most risk. Let's see. Where is it? They mentioned supply side issues. Is it over here? Labor participation, Yellen. There we go. This morning, Powell warned that Omicron could slow job growth and extend supply snarls. Or snares. Snares, like I said, snares, snarls, however it is. Snares. Okay. I think that this is going to weigh on, and here's why. A lot of countries have said that locking down is not an option because, again, there's places that have not locked down and gotten through it just fine. Japan actually, though, has said that they are kind of blocking everything. I do feel with a lot of the blocks that Japan is putting down, it's not a true lockdown, but they're locking down foreigners. I believe that, this is the same scenario that we saw in the UK. UK had issues with delivering gas because a lot of those people were foreign delivery visa guys, right? I do feel that if we are going to stop blocking foreign interactions again, I do feel that it's going to cause supply chain issues. Now, with that being said, here's the fair balance. There was an article this morning that said a lot of retailers bought in bulk because they were scared of supply chain disruptions. And now they're looking at the amount of supply that they have and they're hoping they can sell what they have right now. So at the same time, this is a bit more lower demand on manufacturing because if they bought too much stuff in preparation for other issues because they couldn't get it before, now they got too much stuff, right? So we are kind of seeing the opposite. But I do think finding some type of a good buying area here in the YM is good, but I do feel that it is on the broad spectrum kind of a little bit more at risk. Now, the Russell, I feel that the Russell has the worst luck right now. Again, our target of 2,200 was hit. From when we talked earlier, we rose up and it ran into the same scenario of everything else. It basically ran into Powell at 10:30ish, time frame. Yeah, you see this little spike and then drop. Um, right now, I would say again with the target being hit, I think 2138 is really where we can go. I expected this one will retrace, but any negative news, any type of again, this is kind of the perfect storm for Russell shorts right now. The reason why is again Omicron bad, right? Any type of supply chain disruption, bad for the small guy. Any type of um, lockdowns, bad for the small guy. Again, mom and pop places, right? The non-Amazon groups. How reducing taper, speeding up the tapering process, raising interest rates, also bad for the small guy. So none of this news is positive whatsoever. The Russell, I would say, if we're going to start driving negativity in shorts, the Russell's going to be where to do it. Do I have a great opportunity? Do I have a great level set up right now for the Russell as far as shorts go? No, I mean this was a target we didn't expect it to hold, and it did. It broke and went right through. Well, I mean it hit. It paused here again. It had its 1, 2, and third hit. Number four is went through, and then we had a little bit of basing below it. Um, really, I mean nothing. None of those are like I don't really love any of those tops in there. Um, it's hard. I don't. You got to mark it off. You got to respect that it really kind of fell from that area. Um, do I love that as a short? Not really. It's okay, but if we had if price was able to rally back up to there, and there was another speech or something, or a session open, um, heck, if tomorrow we can get up to that level, that 2220 level before Powell speaks tomorrow, right? If we can get back up to that price before, oops, not the second, before this number, even really before the permits, right? Our employment change, man, if this comes in at like 500,000, right? Again, Pal's making comments about employment's going to be slow. He's probably already has an idea what this is going to be. Um, yeah, I mean, if we're back up there, that could be a great pre-short. And again, the way you would trade that is with a binary contract, maybe a little bit farther out of the money. That way, it's a little bit cheaper. But again, with volatility this high in the VIX, we're back up. We're up to 21.7 right now. Yeah, you gotta kind of see what it looks like. I know today that didn't make a lot of sense to take them, but yeah, there could be an option. There could be some nice little options in there. All right. Look at that gold's rolling out. All right, so let's go across to the currency. So yeah, we had a Harry Potter. We are looking for a break of 71.60. It drove, and guess what? It just happened to come back to an area where we saw some sellers, which also happened to coincide with news. There's our 10:15 window. Here I'll bring it back up to the 30. There's our 10:30 candle, right? So again, pulling into a level, and again, this was an absolutely huge move, guys. This is 108 pips, 108 pips in 30 minutes off of Powell. Basically saying that it's time to cut the taper and raise interest rates. Awesome news for the dollar. This is what the Dixie looked like, just in case anybody didn't know. There's the Dixie. We had come all the way down to here at 10 o'clock. Powell spoke. What's Bezos' rocket called? Blue Origin? Yeah. Yeah. This is the Blue Origin, right? We go just to the brink of space and we fall back, right? There's a dollar. So seeing this in the Aussie, yeah, yeah. So at this point, one thing we can mark off, and again, unfortunately, you would never have gotten a pullback in this one. This never gave us the entry. It came up and then news just blew it through. I would say right now, keep this level marked off. 71.68. Again, it is now confirmed that it can hold a news release and be a launching point for a news release, which is awesome, right? I love to know that for next time when we touch that level. But right now, we're in a parabolic move down. We're seeing some stabilization. We have a pullback, but now we have a higher low, right? So we'll take the Harry Potter off. We don't really need this level anymore, I would say. Like I said, it was we were trying to get a short, but again, more powerful news blew through it. Let's see. Do we have I'm looking for a good level of risk. I mean, I love this. This 15 minute. I mean, there's so much room in here. I would say there's probably some opportunity here. And what I'd kind of like to see is if we can get a level of basing established here, which we kind of have it. We have the pullback and then again, higher low in there. If we can pull up and start basing in here, kind of one of those Harry Potters. Again, parabolic move looking for a parabolic retracement. We could potentially have a long position that kind of comes out of this area here. Now, again, it's not quite set up yet, but you can see there's definitely some room to run. Your 1 to 3 is sitting right there, which is kind of smack in the middle. So we have really to go back to the origin of that move. That's a 1 to 6. That's a pretty nice size trade there. So, um, kind of like to see a break of that level. If we can get a break of 71.02, right? 71.02, and again, maybe shrink that down just a little bit. Let's see if we take it down just a little bit. Oops. Oh, I don't want that side. Let me bring it down. 70. Let's see. 71.01 again, right? A little punch through, a little pullback, and then look for that thing off to the races at the top side. 1 to 3 profit target would be sitting right around here at the 71.35. But overall, again on the top side, could this be another target up top? Yeah, I think so. And again, depending on if we can rally back up again with something that we hear later tonight. Remember, Australian news tonight. Could this number come in at a -1 or a 1 and give a lot of Aussie strength? Sure. Absolutely. Could that help drive us all the way back up for another short? Sure. Sure. So we're kind of set up for that level right now. Looking at Aussie yen. Aussie yen didn't take the biggest dive. And again, we had an area here that had been hit a few times. Hit it, based off of it, based off of it. But right now, it's not really giving us as much. I would say the analysis on this one still pretty much holds firm. The 81.50 up top, and the 79.91 down below. Didn't get there. It is a higher time frame level, so I think it's a good bounce. At this point, I'm kind of rooting for this one to get a bit weaker and kind of pull down. Aussie yen is a great pair to trade with Australian news. It removes kind of the U.S. element from it. If we could get back down to this level, I think that would be a great takeoff point for it. If it does nothing but rally back up again, it's kind of setting up for more of a short. Um, but this is one of those ones that tonight, again, don't do it on a 15-minute, do it on a 30. Tonight, I mean, this is a 7:30 p.m. release, right? That's not that bad, right? Everybody should be able to trade that one tonight. I think this provides some awesome opportunity to really try to, go into a different pair. And again, we got our tops and bottoms. We may get a base from now till then. We got 7 hours to go. Could be some good opportunity with this one, right? Euro pound. All right, so Euro pound hit that level at 85.15 and cranked its way all the way back down, and now it's continuing to drive higher. I think the euro is okay right now with where it is. Right, we have comments tomorrow morning coming from Bailey. I think right now we're not hearing. So there's a couple of different factors. One is the whole Russia thing, which we don't see it up here yet, which I'm kind of surprised we don't see it yet. It may be over here, but I do know that, put it this way. If Russia does send a single troop over in Yugoslavia to, quote, stabilize the area, Europe, the European Union, NATO, I know will obviously be involved, but the euro should take quite a little bit of a tank. Okay, we're seeing very, very strong European strength, and again, there was some news coming out of Europe, mostly inflation-based data, but right now I probably wouldn't mess with this one much. I'd wait to see kind of where we stop and stabilize. I think if we can get up and find a level of basing, and we do have a couple levels. I mean, there's a really, really good level up here. We know that there's, obviously this one went much, much lower. We don't need that anymore. This is kind of, we can put that on there as the area of interest. We'll leave this one yellow. You can see that's what we're kind of stuck in right now. I would say, I'm trying to find like a good, I mean, we have a tested level sitting there. Let's change that to a dash line. There's going to be some selling coming in there too. My favorite level is really this 85.88, but let's see. I'm going to say that these are going to be levels we're going to watch out for. I don't think this now. This one's already took a short through. I don't need those two levels. There we go. And then this comes to a green. Let's pull this down. All right, so there we go. It's probably my top and bottom area. I would say I like how this is kind of pushing up. I'm on board with it pushing higher today. Speaking at 9. I kind of like this one. So this one is not the biggest mover. It's about a 35 to 38 pip ATR. So it's not the biggest of all the movers, right? But I like the fact that it is rising today because realize that the UK and the US are very very similar economy wise. The change in comments that Powell made, if Bailey makes similar comments tomorrow about they may accelerate tapering because inflation is a really big deal, that is going to bring a lot of strength into the pound tomorrow, and that's going to lead us into probably one of these nice little drops. I mean, ultimately, the more it moves, the better. Um, but I think this is important to watch out for. The fact that it is a 9 a.m. release means that everybody can trade it. It's not like a middle of the night European release. I think that the key to this one tomorrow to be successful with it, watch to see what price action does from 3 to 8, 8:30. If it continues to be straight up, that's kind of setting up for Powell to say, or not Powell, Bailey to say something really positive for the pound and lead this thing crushing back down again. There's typically not as much premium baked into this one because it doesn't move as much, but I think there's some really good opportunity. Could we see the same thing that we just saw in the dollar for tomorrow with, dollar strength? I mean, obviously this one it would be straight down because it's the pound, right? The pound in the second position. But could we see a big drive down? Yeah, I think this could be a great potential for tomorrow, particularly if Bailey even remotely says the same thing that Powell says. Now, euro yen. Now you're seeing euro yen pound. This one's going up, and it's kind of like pound weakness, right? Euro yen, kind of doing the opposite, right? So the euro yen is it's not as big of a mover, and actually the euro dollar is only at 0.12 right now. But this one kind of drove up, and the yen kind of took it over a little bit. I would say this has not really given us as much of news in here. I would say the euro yen is probably more at risk about the Russia situation. Um, you know, it is. It's only Tuesday, so we have all week. Typically, Russia doesn't cross a border except on a Saturday. So I don't know. The last thing I read this morning, they said the tanks are rolling to the border as well. So I don't know. We'll see. But I would say if any of this does happen, look for European shorts, as there's a flock to safety in it, away from Europe. So I think potentially I'd like for it to come down, but I think that conflicts with what we're going to see with the euro pound tomorrow. But right now, I would say that this is probably not that huge of a mover. We're kind of stuck in a sideways channel. You can see the lows are a little bit lower, but it's not kind of in a level where we've seen buyers, and the highs are definitely not as high. So I would say we're really kind of more stuck in a kind of a longer term consolidation right now. Not a whole lot in this one, but the December meeting for the ECB is also expected to have some major fireworks. So right now, I would say probably on hold. I think the euro pound provides more opportunity. Euro dollar, again, is anybody surprised? No. This is exactly what the dollar, I mean, this is what the dollar chart looked like. It went straight up, being in the second position, it's straight down, and now all we're doing is a parabolic retracement. It did grab at a very interesting level. It grabbed from this level here, which it's a level, I would say that that's quite aggressive, right? That was quite an aggressive grab. But the one thing it does do for us is now we know that there are buyers sitting here. Again, I love it. I love the fact that it's three ascending wicks. I like that it's a green, red, green. I like the explosion off of it. These are all things that I'm looking for in actual zone setups. The fact that it held and literally banked right off the top of it, I think is an even better thing. So, again, right now I'd expect this to continue to go higher. We'll see if it can make it through the 1325. Again, it's a parabolic retracement. I've done the presentation in the past, a move that was well beyond what it should have gone. This is let's see, in one candle, yeah, 138 pips. It's two ATRs in a single candle. You should have been looking for long opportunities. Interesting place to grab it, although still valid. And you can see that it's definitely pulling away. So I would expect this to come up and probably stabilize in preparation for tomorrow. But at the same time, I mean, maybe Powell pulls the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde tomorrow, but I think he's going to have to stand by his guns. I would say the only thing that can save Powell tomorrow is, I mean, I guess it depends on who's asking the questions. Um, the only thing that could potentially save him for some really, really difficult questions is the fact that, again, it's more of a Democrat controlled kind of, scenario right now tomorrow. A Democratic president just nominated him again. So if your political party slams and absolutely tries to destroy the guy that your president just put up forward, it's kind of it's not necessarily the best scenario. I mean, if it had been the other way around, I mean, if it was the opposite side of the aisle that put him up, then yeah, I would expect some really hard questions tomorrow from Republicans. Trying to you know trying to stick one to the man, basically, right? Because I guess he's the man. But I would look for a similar scenario. Unless he pulls Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, look for some massive amounts of movement off his testimony tomorrow. I would say, maintain this kind of, this bull today in this, but I would be looking for another bear type scenario. So, again, could we mark off the top? Sure. Sure. We can mark off the top of this one and say, hey, listen, if we can clear that 1325 level, 1371 is an area we're looking for sellers. And again, we know that they're 1335. I'm sorry, 1235 down below. We know that, and again, they supported them. Buyers stepped in big. So right now, we'll see what it looks like. For you fib traders out there, this is kind of what your fibs are looking like right now. We're, you know, blind fib traders, and I say blind because there's nothing behind it. It would purely be like, hey, I'm taking it off to 50. Now would be your time to get short, right? You literally just hit your 50. Looking for a rollover back down to the 23.6. So, um, again, purely fibs, which again is supposed to be a compliment, not a pure, a only fibs. If it's an only fib trader, they're taking those shorts right now. Okay, just keep that on your radar. Pound yen. Pound yen is just chopping through things. Yesterday we talked about it coming down this 150.35. We kind of came down, got stuck, came down, bounced off of it, went up, and now we're kind of stuck here. So I would say the pound, I'm okay with it continuing to drop. Um, the scenario where we're at right now is we're kind of looking at this level here. We got a couple levels, but none of them are really great. The next super clean level we have is down here at 148. We got a bit of ways to go. So, as I mentioned yesterday morning, and for my group, I really don't have a great area for buying in this one. But I am starting to look at it. And, again, like, you can see I got a level down here. I know there was buyers there. I know there were buyers here. Am I willing to really just jump into these, based off of how they were formed? Not really, right? I mean, this pushed it literally to the brink and then held, and this one down here, yeah, it held, but it went 75% of the way through. So neither of them are really kind of the ideal situations where I'm like, yep, going long. The 148 is, but they got, it's got quite a bit to run from there. 72, 105, and 144. I think the way to play these again is, does Bailey follow Powell's lead tomorrow and talk about tapering and raising interest rates because inflation is so big? And it's not, and again, the biggest nation in the world that's been driving the one that invented transitory is now not saying transitory anymore. Our closest allied and kind of, someone that financially is in a similar situation in recovery, could they mention the same thing tomorrow? I think you got to be thinking about it. So again, if price continues to remain low for this one, tomorrow could it be a big day? And you can see that it got a little bit of a PAL price spike, but or PAL drop. I think pound yen is definitely one to follow tomorrow, depending on the premium baked in. Pound dollar obviously should look just like the euro dollar. It didn't quite get to the level we were looking for. I don't need. Let's see. Do I need that anymore? Do I want that? No, I don't need that one anymore. I don't need this big number, right? Um, again, euro pound. I'm sorry, euro dollar pound dollar should look exactly the same. The difference is the euro is the stronger between the two. This one is not up to its 50% yet. Still got a little bit more room to run. But, again, could you have made this trade? Yeah. Okay. At 4:30 this morning, there was a base level put in. There's your basing level at 4:30 this morning, right? There's 3:30, 4:30, 5, 5:30. And again, 5:30 tends to be the morning reversal time frame that we're seeing. Pulled down, drove up, and again at 9:30, here was the open. It had a one candle base at 10 o'clock waiting for PAL in an area of sellers. Could you have gotten short this position? Absolutely. Right? And you guys should have. And I hope that you guys did. And again, this is, again, looking for 30-minute levels before big news releases is exactly how to trade these. This is a monster move. Okay. One candle is 135 pips down. In less than an hour is 171 pips to the downside. Again, over double a daily ATR in 30 minutes. Candidate for a parabolic replacement or a retracement. Unfortunately, it didn't really hit a level that I was super enthused with. I was looking for a little bit lower, and unfortunately, it turned on me. But again, if you're a fib trader and you're looking for 50%, again, take it from your high. There's your 50%. You got a little bit more room to run on this one, but again, it would be a blind fib. There's nothing to show us that there's anything there. There is an old area of interest level we could use just above it, right before the 61. So maybe there's kind of a hidden level in here, right? We've got a little bit of basing off of it, but I would say kind of watch for the same thing. In that reversal, when it does come, the pound dollar reversal should be better than the euro dollar reversal of the two. Okay, but we'll see where it goes. I do like this level up top again, though. The reaction off of this and the fact that it was a level, if by some chance it comes all the way back up again, and I would say that this is probably a kind of a slight option here. If we can get all the way up there before Powell speaks tomorrow morning, actually, you know what? I probably wouldn't take it. Oof, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could. If we can drive all the way up before the news, like if it's nothing but European Open and we drive straight into that level, yeah, it could be set up for a short tomorrow too. It's a good level. I would definitely keep it on your radar. 133.57. Good level. I do like the level. Okay. Um, but yeah, today I expected to roll up. The question is this 50% level gonna roll us? And I would say the probability is probably there. Maybe Clarita says something in the afternoon. So dollar CAD. So dollar CAD had two levels. We talked about news, and it kind of hit that level and dropped lower in the overnight. Right, the 3 o'clock window drove us back down again. And then really, I mentioned in the Nadex section we were down here. I said I would not be surprised. Oil continues to get weak. This one's going to drop, and Powell just brought dollar strength, and he came up, and you can see the 128 aggressive level kind of held for a bit and pulled back again. And again, it really needed the 128.33. Sometimes being overly aggressive isn't helpful. Again, if it's Nadex, it's not necessarily a big deal as it goes higher. Again, this is one of those. Had you got up, if you're looking for a binary here, is it a big deal? The price actually broke just a little bit higher in the next candle. Nope. Nobody cares because it's still in, right? You're still positive. Had you done a call spread when it went above, is it a big deal? Nope. Had you done a knockout, had it been in this range, would that have been a problem? Yeah, it would have knocked you out. So right now, I would say it's kind of hard to be dollar weak, but right now the problem is oil is just absolutely crushing the Canadian dollar. Absolutely crushing it. So any reversal, I would say that this is probably the one that I would not play the reversal as much. Maybe this one starts to reverse with the API number today, but I really don't think tomorrow morning with Powell speaking at 10 o'clock and then crude oil inventories at 10:30. I really don't feel that the crude oil inventories are going to be leading the way. I think everybody is literally going to be watching and listening to every single letter that Powell says, right? Every single word, every single period. I think crude oil will kind of get lost in the in kind of everything tomorrow. So it may be a trade, but I just find it very, very hard to trade the proxy when oil is just, I mean, it's down 6% right now. It's just getting blasted. Dollar Swiss should have been some great, again, we talked about this coming in. We saw the strength and we were talking about these coming down, right? And they did. They both came down. They had some issues in that area, the 91.84 or 91.89. Again, Powell took this one over at 10 o'clock, spiked it, came back up again. And again, what did it do? It grabbed that old level that had been tested here. One test, two tests. You knew that it was valid. Another parabolic retracement trade. It's over now, but I would say, I can see it continuing to drop lower. But had you been trading this one on a purely technical basis, knowing that there was a news release right here, again, spiked into a level that was tested here. One test there and one test there. Got to respect the level. It was an old level from here. Actually, it was tested here, hit, reaffirmed, spiked up with Powell mentioning and everything, and then the profit taking. Obviously, the 1 to 3 is well beyond. So I would expect this one to continue to drop lower as we're seeing kind of some of the weakness come off the dollar. Also, again, mentioning the Russia scenario. Remember, Russia goes to assist in the coup d'etat in Yugoslavia. Again, that's a geopolitical military action. The Swiss tends to get a lot of strength in that, right? Because of the neutrality. So could that continue to drive this one down? Yeah, absolutely. So just keep that on your radar. Trade's kind of done, though. You should have been playing the reversal. Not much we can do with it. Dollar yen. So our target of 112.84 was hit at about 4:30 this morning, right? We talked about it continuing to push down. Now, this one, there was a level here. This one is a little bit harder. Again, the dollar yen is always very difficult to play because it has influences from the dollar, but it also has a proxy through the U.S. stock market. A little bit more challenging. I will say I finished up my my presentation, my slides for next week. Looking at the ATR on this one, this is the highest ATR we've seen in the dollar yen in months. It's become much, much more volatile. Besides the Aussie yen, which is down right now, this one is probably in the top 30% as far as movement goes. And that's with a spike and a retracement. And it's red. So if you remove the spike, this one has been quite a mover to the downside. We're seeing a lot more yen strength. Now, I'm not at a stage yet where I'm willing to, and again, we're looking for some reversals. The 50s didn't get hit here. I'm not at a stage yet where I'm really looking to go long this one. The reason why is because I do feel it's high. Yeah, we got a spike with the dollar, but I feel like right now everything that they're doing to the dollar is going to bring and provide, some more strength over on the yen side. So I feel like right now, although the dollar is involved with this pair, I feel like the yen is the better one. But again, the yen's having some major issues right now. And again, whether they're going to lock down, not lock down, are we going to play it as a pure yen trade? Are we going to trade it as a proxy? There's a lot of news you can see that's going to affect this one this week. I think today, I think you stay bearish. I think it comes back down. I think it tests the lower levels down here. Again, this 112.52 is going to be a big psychological kind of support and resistance trade trap. I do believe that there will be a trap down there. So we'll remove this. And I mean, really, I guess I could probably mark this level off here and say, hey, listen, watch for a potential reversal. Watch for a kind of, if we get a base in this level, I could definitely be swayed to take some type of a Harry Potter trade because I do think we will go a bit lower. But right now, I think the only way to play the dollar US is if you are looking at it within the 15 to 20 minutes before news release. See if it is pulled back. I mean, this is a level you had to mark, but it's not one that I would love. But seeing it from a spike, then yes, it is. It is definitely a reversal level, much like the dollar Swiss was. I think there's enough headlines the rest of this week. I think we're good to go. Obviously, I didn't break down the calendar on a day to day basis. I was trying to do it per day, but obviously tomorrow you have non farm employment change and you have PAL speaking, right? On Thursday we have OPEC and we have unemployment claims. Okay, and Yellen speaking, it's probably going to be the slowest day. I think OPEC's going to be like, we're definitely not going to raise supply at all. We're going to do the exact opposite. We need to stabilize oil prices, is what they're going to say, which makes sense. Unemployment claims, I don't know, maybe there's a surprise, but Friday, non-farm. Okay, we have our. I'm interested to see what the earnings looks like, but if this employment number comes in bad, unemployment rate's supposed to go down, so everybody's expecting good. What if it doesn't? If it stays at 4.6, that's a major, major negative. And then ISM services right behind it, expected to be lower than it was before. So I feel like the dollar yen has so many different releases this week. It's truly going to be a way to play news. I think that's the safest way to play it. Cryptos look like they're in the red for the most part, except Ethereum, that's up. Oil obviously continuing to drive lower. I was looking for this API number, but the API number obviously is not out yet. Looking for, again, we're seeing it pop, and the pop right now is probably that Powell's talking about raising everything. I don't think oil really kind of prepared for that. You can see yesterday was quite volatile. Today, it's a little bit better. I mean, it's just continuing to kind of drive down. I would say I don't expect oil to do too much more. I'm very curious to see what that API report looks like. I do feel that there will be some stabilization. I do feel that there is going to be an opportunity. I mean, I do think we will be able to get long oil sometime this week. I'll tell you right now, with oil down $10, OPEC is absolutely not going to say on Thursday, yeah, we're gonna release more supply because that would lead this to tumble even further, and they love their money, right? Their sweet spot is in the mid 70s to 80s, so they're lower than what they like right now. But also because of the volatility of this, because this is tanking so fast in 7 days, they may also say we're going to suspend it longer so we can have price stabilization because this market is too crazy. So I do feel that there is going to be opportunity to buy oil this week. Don't have it yet. There's a few levels in here. And again, where price currently is right now. The problem is we got a little bit of a racetrack here. And actually, price is up here right now at 65.68. We do have a little bit of a buying level. You can see there's some basing right here. Changes to green, so it looks a little different. You can see that there's a little bit of level. There's a level right here. And then we're in a racetrack, and then the next time is really back down in this level. Okay. Slide that across. You can see that that's what we're flirting with right now is those buyers. So, I would say watch out 64.12, and obviously on the bottom side of this one, the 65.34. The API report should be very interesting because this is going to be the Thanksgiving week API report. So we'll see if more people drove or more people flew or more people stayed at home. but could provide a good buying opportunity. Now, natural gas, you're seeing natural gas rise from basically that PAL time on, but it is still negative. It's down 5% today. I was looking for a hit off of $4.46. We didn't make it. We made it to four. I missed it by 2 cents. It came down to 48. I said 46. What's funny about this is even if we lock down, people will use more natural gas. So all this big crazy spiking, right? All this crazy spiking that we saw, right? Technically, if this was all real and not manipulated, should still exist now. Like I'm getting snow flurries tonight, supposedly in Maryland, but yet it's down 5% today. Country shutting down. None of those things are good for this. Russia invading a country, also not good for this because right, if they're not, if the European Union is suddenly going to not accept natural gas from Russia because they're being hostile militarily, that means they need natural gas from the United States. That's not something that drives us down. So, as much as I hate to say it, there probably is a buy in here somewhere as well. Don't have it right now. I have not ordered gas yet, but I'm getting close to doing it. My propane. If you guys have been following my story, um, but yeah, I called the guy. I actually left a message. It's like, hey, what are the rates? I'm just checking the rates. Kind of trolling him a little bit, but yeah. So I would say there's probably a buy, but I like oil much better. There's not an evil there. I mean, I guess there is, but there's not a evil empire like OPEC for natural gas. Not the same way. Not that the United States is willing to admit, but I do believe the evil empire of OPEC will give us a great oil opportunity sometime this week. Now, gold. Yeah, gold liked it. That 1800 kicked in, and I was actually looking for gold to kind of take a spike. I mentioned it yesterday. I was kind of looking for gold to drive down before Powell started speaking, and I wanted him to kind of come across. It started to drive up beforehand, and he acknowledged inflation, but he's like, "Oh, we're raising everything. We're going to stop at the bonds," and it was like, "Oh God, you know, we're going to halt the inflation." So it's bouncing off a level. We talked about it. I drew it yesterday that we were going to take that little bounce. It's trying. We need more people than just Powell to kind of jump into this one. I think once the true, I think the December meeting is really going to be the buying spot for gold. Inflation's here. I think at this point, people have not hedged against inflation enough. But 1800 is kind of it seems like it's the line in the sand. It really, really likes it. As of right now, again, parabolic move down based off of what Powell said. It did bounce off the level we talked about yesterday, the 1770 to 1768. It is kind of bouncing off of that right now. It's kind of doing one of these, using this old level, the 1777 as an area of sellers. But I think if we can clear it, again, a bounce off that, if we can get above and get a pullback to 1777, I think that could be a takeoff point. And I think we can get. I truly think we can get back up to 1800 by the end of the week in gold. Silver, again, silver spiked. Oh yes, there's inflation. Okay, what are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna do faster. Oh crap, right? 2275. I mean, silver is really, really stuck, and we had a level at we talked about hitting 2268. It finally did hit it about what little under a half hour ago. So it's there, but again, I would say today it looks like really, yeah. I mean, all those Wall Street bets, people. Look at this year to date, it's down 13%. The last 6 months, it's down 17%. The last 3 months, down 5. The last month, 4. This is supposed to be at $100. So yeah, I think Wall Street's going to make it. I don't think Wall Street's going to be taken down by silver. And again, the less emphasis on silver and the more emphasis on real inflation, I think silver is going to start tumbling and dropping. I just, like I said, I think silver. I think gold is justified to get back up to 1800. I really don't think silver is going to get back up to that equilibrium level of 24. I think it's going to have a very difficult time, and I don't know. There's going to have to be something major. They're going to have to get back out there and start talking about how now's the time. Strike. Silver's hot. It's cheap. I have a very hard time getting long silver. So be very, very cautious with silver. Besides that, the only other thing I want to mention again is TLT bonds, 20-year. You can see that bonds are been having some issues, but really this week, since the 24th, since Thanksgiving, we're seeing a lot of bonds going up. Remember, what happens with bond money? A lot of times when you're seeing bonds start to spike, it means that people are starting to run towards safety. People are getting very, very concerned. Remember, you raise interest rates and cut taper, that's going to crash, right? That's going to crash the stock indices. When these turn red, the money tends to come out of here and go towards bonds. Okay, so again, bonds is an area to start watching out for. And again, seeing Bitcoin at down -6%. Bitcoin's also supposed to be at 100,000 by the end of the year. Ethereum's having a good day, but again, this was a flight for inflation, and now it's looking like it's not, as the dollar is spiking. The Dixie is again taking this huge ride up. Bitcoin is doing the exact opposite. Bitcoin is dropping down again. So it looks like the actual dollar is still beating the cryptos in that market. So again, just keep, be aware. So, with that said, guys, there's a lot going on this week. It is the non-farm payroll week. Thursday, I think, is our only real break day, but I think OPEC is going to be like, yeah. They're not gonna give us much. And Bullard, I wish we had a little bit more on this one. 50% chance that high inflation is going to persist. He's actually been saying it the entire time. It's interesting that Powell is no longer saying transitory and is retiring the word and mentioning it that it's there. I'm telling you, this would be my vote to take over the Fed the next time. I think he's been spot on in everything that he said. And seeing that we have a 50-50 chance of this high inflation staying forever, I think it's something to watch out for. So, yeah. Whew. With that said, mark your calendars off. Remember, next week we will not be doing this session. We will have a boot camp next week. I'm actually doing a very, very interesting presentation on how to determine whether you should use a call spread or a knockout. There are times when you should use one over the other one, when to use it, how not to use it, and again, how to get into more of trade potential and setting some goals in 2022, as well as Tom. I think I'm going to dial in and actually listen to Tom's presentation. I think he's going to be not only entertaining, but provide some absolutely amazing information. So if you guys are not registered, I believe Todd has probably put it in the stream by now. If not, check the text. Get registered for that one. I think it's going to be actually, I'm really, really looking forward to it. And like I said, I am definitely dialing in to listen to Tom. I've heard him speak one time, and I think he's going to be not only entertaining but really educational. So make sure you guys get in for that. With that said, have a great week. Remember, it is the triple witching week. I think it's going to be crazy. The testimony tomorrow, ADP number on Wednesday, non-farm on Friday, OPEC basically after a $10 price in oil talking. Yeah. And then Russia with 100,000 troops and tanks on the way to the Ukraine. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. Get out there, protect yourself. You guys have a good trading week, and I'll catch you next week. Take care.